And we are back on the Chosen Baseball Journey. I'm your host, Jonathan A. Hacohen, author of the Bible 3.0, The Six Commandments of the Chosen Life, available audiobook, ebook, physical book. You can pick it up at Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Indigo, wherever you shop for your books. And with me, my co-pilot as always, the one and only Karim Garcia, Mexican WBC champion, MLB folklore. This man has breathed, slept, lived baseball for most of his life, and he is back with us today. And Kareem, one of my favorite topics of the year, not everybody's, but we're going to be discussing pitchers, elbows, and lats, and all the fun stuff.
Yes, I can't believe right now all these guys are gone down, especially in the spring training. We talk about it and we talk about it. I mean, how many guys are going to go down? It was record numbers right now for the month of April. They say, oh, it's always the same. No, it's not always the same. It's not that many guys. These guys nowadays, they're trying to throw harder, trying to put more spin on the ball, and now you see the results.
Every day I send you a new guy down with an elbow injury or taking Tommy John surgery. A stat which will astound you, I think, because it astounded me. How many guys are in the Hall of Fame right now that had successful Tommy John surgery?
Wow. Let
Off,
me think about that.
off top of your head, how many would you guess? Because off top of my head, I would have guessed at least 30, 40.
No, I will say like three or four tops, maybe five guys. One.
John
Wow.
Smoltz so far, until Justin Verlander gets in there. So still, it's been around long enough. Seemingly, every pitcher now has had to have TJ at least once in his career. But currently, as we stand in 2024, one pitcher only in the Hall of Fame that had Tommy John surgery. Go figure.
Wow. That's incredible.
So I've told you at the beginning of the year, I'm running two fantasy baseball teams. One is very pitching heavy, one is very hitting heavy. One team has had Cody Senga sitting in the injured reserve, injured list the whole year. I just signed Cody Senga for the other team. Cody Senga pitched a successful bullpen session with live hitters. He's ready to go to start his rehab in the minors. He is due to come off the list May 27th. He says he should be able to go on time. Why am I getting excited? Because Kyle Bradish, remember him? Bradish from the Baltimore Orioles, their ace last year until Corbin Burns was signed. Well, traded through the Brewers. Bradish is now called up. Will be starting and has started for the Orioles, and so I've been holding on to him. And am I dreaming, Kareem, that I'm going to have Bradish and I'm going to have Senga pitching on my teams all season long? What's your feeling on them going in right now if you're a betting man?
If I was a betting man, I don't think Senga is going to finish the year, to tell you the truth, I'll say by June, July, you're going to lose him again. I'm giving him a few months, I'm being nice. I'm going to give him a few months, but that's about it. I don't think he goes that far.
And Bradish?
That's a little different story, but I mean, he might go all the way to September. We'll see.
I'll be honest, I don't see them finishing the year either. Oh, it's like when Otani was pitching, and they're saying he has a little bit of discomfort, he's a little inflammation. I'm not worried about it. Then he stops in the middle of a start, walks off the mound. They bring the trainer, and next thing you know, he's done for the year. That's what I'm seeing. All right, let's start going through the list. This is not the exhaustive list right now, but Mr. Kelly on the Diamondbacks on my team, gone for at least a month with his shoulder. Mr. Rodriguez, remember him? He was the big free agent signing. Still hasn't
Yeah.
pitched with them, by the way. Big shocker with his history, shoulder. The team where I had an auto draft and they gave me Strider in the first round, and I got offered Mike Trout before the season started. Did not take that trade. I should have taken it. Why? Even though
Yes.
Strider is the best pitcher in baseball, not when he's gone for the year. Not TJ. He's going to have the whatever surgery they're calling it now, where they're doing the harness or whatever they're calling it. But it's not
Mhm.
TJ, but it's TJ. So Strider gone for the year. Bello with the Red Sox back indefinitely out. Pivetta, Giolito, Williams, remember him from the Guardians? Also elbow left a start, probably not coming back. Bieber, remember the big free agent to be, and all the teams were trying to trade for him in the offseason. Gone. Marsh, Royals took a comebacker off the elbow. He's gone indefinitely. I called up Steve Carsey and I said, congratulations, you signed Stevenson from the Rays. This was the smartest pickup. He's going to be your closer for sure. Steve said, I'm hope so. Well, Steve was cautious for a reason because Stevenson is done for the year. Tommy John.
Wow.
The Dodgers, 10 pitchers on their injured list. The Rays, 12 players. And get this, the Dodgers have shoulder, back, elbow, foot, forearm, lung. Somebody's out with a lung injury. The Rays, illness. They just call it illness. Hip, and it's indefinite illness, by the way. I don't know if it's bubonic plague or malaria, but he's out. Then you have hip, oblique, pec, elbow, hand, finger, and many, many elbows for the Rays. Almost the whole Rays starting rotation has had Tommy John so far. AJ
Wow.
Puck, you might as well call him Puke because he was on my fantasy team this year. A guy who was a pretty good closer for them last year. Let's turn him into a starter. They saw Hicks going up with the Giants as a free agent. They said, this could work for us. Did not work for them at all. He killed my team for one start. I fired him immediately. He is now on the injured list with a shoulder injury. Yuri Perez, I was very hopeful for him. They're saying just some inflammation. He should be good to go. He's done for the year. Shoulder. Elbow. He was elbow. And Alcantara, also elbow. Senga, Garrett Cole, Loaizaga with the Yankees. The Lasagna Man. I thought he'd be back. Elbow done for the year. Alek Manoah, Josiah Gray with the Nationals. Darvish out indefinitely with a neck injury.
Wow.
And this is just the tip of the iceberg. Karim, every team has pitchers on the IL. We have a case now with big uproar. The union is saying, MLB, this is all your fault. We told you that pitch clock is going to destroy all the pitchers. MLB comes back. There's no evidence of this. This is the same amount of injuries there's ever been. John Smoltz comes out in an interview and says, it's velocity. You throw all out every single pitch, nonstop. Guys back in the day, the Jack Morrises of the day, used to know how to pitch smart, used to hold back and throw heavy when they needed to. Is John Smoltz right or is the players union right?
I think it's John Smoltz right. I mean, he has a Hall of Fame career. Also, he pitched for a long time. He was a starter, then he was a reliever, and then back to starting. Now, like he says, Maddox could have thrown 94, 95, but Maddox will sit 86 to 89, moving, sinking, slicing the ball everywhere. And then when he needed to get a little bit back, then he throws the 94. Nowadays, like he mentioned, and you've seen it, guys that want to throw 105, 106, 103, all they're doing is looking at the velocity, at the speed of the clock. Oh, 100.5. Oh, I want to throw 100.9 or 101. And they're going down by like flies right now, So back in the days, smarter, even stronger if you want it, because these guys now they're strong, but I mean their elbows and their backs are showing something different.
One guy we've mentioned before on this show, but one of my favorites of all time. I jumped on the bandwagon the second I saw him in the MLB was the one and only Joakim Soria. I think one of the greatest relievers I've seen out there. But, he had his injury issues at certain points. And let me ask you, because now we're talking about injuries and we're talking, a lot about velocity and fastballs. But I remember, I believe it was his aunt sent me a picture of him when he was 11, 12 years old playing for the Mexican team that he was playing for at the time. 11, 12 years old throwing curveballs. Good idea or not good idea?
Not good at all. You hurt kids. I always tell them, if they're going to start pitching and start throwing breaking pitches, you do it when you're 14, when your arm, your ligaments are a little stronger. 10, 11, 12 years old, let the kids play. Let them have fun. Throw the ball in the middle, let the other kid hit it, and start running around the bases like like a kid. But nowadays, managers, even parents, want to win championships, and they don't care if they hurt the kid that is 11 or 12 years old by throwing changeups, curveballs, sliders. Their elbow and their arms are not ready. Their ligaments are not ready. They're barely getting, to getting stronger, and they're only going to get stronger by working on their fastballs and their conditioning. That's about it.
Last year on our show, one of the most popular episodes from last year was Steve Carsey getting very passionate. I've hardly ever seen the guy get mad, but he got very mad about one topic, and you're about to laugh and smile. He was talking about MLB scouts attending 8, 9-year-old baseball games has never happened and will never happen. And parents need to get over this idea. And there's a lot of, I hate to say crooks, but people taking advantage of parents and selling them on the fact, you're going to have this travel team and this league. And you have these kids, in grade school, not even high school, and they're playing so many baseball games with such bad coaching that, and then never mind the fact of high school coaching and college coaching. There's some really good coaches out there, Kareem, but there's some really, really bad ones not teaching fundamentals. And by the time they do get drafted, if they get drafted, there's so much wear and tear on their bodies and their arms from bad mechanics and bad usage that, it's funny. Now you see a pitcher and you're looking at, for example, at Skeens on Pittsburgh, and they're saying, oh, look at this, 50 pitches. That's all we're going to do, 3 innings. We're going to build him up slowly. That's not how he was pitching in college and high school and grade school. So I'm thinking, if I'm MLB teams and I want to stop having these injuries, maybe it's starting to figure out where the kids are getting drafted from and developed, and let's start teaching them better fundamentals from a young age. What's your thoughts on that?
Yes, especially the kids, when they're starting to play, putting attention on baseball, they're probably 9, 10 years. Before then, like I always say, let them play, let them have fun, but teach them the right way to play, how to run the bases, how to slice slide regular second base, um, throwing the ball, put them in certain ways. Don't make them throw really hard, or really far, you know, just get their distance what they're supposed to be doing. But unfortunately, the fundamentals that you see, or like you say, I see them all the time when I come to Mexico and see these kids. They just want to hit the ball and throw the ball hard, and that's it. And the managers, they wanted to win. So they're not teaching anything. They don't know how to bunt the ball. I never seen the kids over here bunting the ball. Hey, bunt the right way, put your bat on a certain angle, on a 45-degree angle, and put your hands in front. Little things like that. And I don't see it now.
Andy Pajes on Dodgers, Cuban hitter, been hitting
Mhm.
up quite a storm. They called him up at 23 years old. People thought he wouldn't get called up till 2025. He's already hitting seventh in their lineup, but I have an issue with him. He's on one of my teams. So I drafted him. I took him. I took him over Duran. I took him over Hoskins. Why? Because in that Dodgers lineup, you're going to score runs and you're going to get RBIs. But what worries me, Kareem, is when you have a 280 hitter with 0 walks and 11 strikeouts. At some point, that lack of patience, once they figure out that pitch that you're susceptible to, it's game freaking over. But there's an expression I heard, and you probably heard this one as well. When you're Dominican in Cuba, you don't walk off the island, you hit off the island. And it's
Yes,
all
that's
about the
correct.
home runs all day long.
Yes. And that's how the Latin players are. If you want to get to the major leagues, you better start hitting some bombs. If you don't hit, home runs, it's very difficult for you to get called up. You can hit 380 if you want to with one jack, they're not going to call you up. But if you got 25, 30 home runs and you're hitting 275, 280, they're going to give you a chance.
If I give you a 270 hitter
Mhm.
with 100 walks, 100 strikeouts, 0 home runs, 50 doubles, will you take him?
Mm, 0 home runs?
0 home runs, 50 doubles, 100 walks, 100 strikeouts. Not bad.
Yeah, I take him. I take him. 50 jack. 50 doubles is fine because he's going to drive some people in. So,
Yeah, it depends on which team you're on. Depends what also it really depends what position you're on. If you're a catcher with those kind of stats, you're gonna be an all-star almost guaranteed.
Yeah.
I'm thinking back in our day, Kareem. So back in our day, you remember a guy
Mhm.
by the name of Nolan Ryan?
Oh, yes.
You remember a coach by the name of Tom House? Ring a
Yes.
bell? Pitching coach.
Mhm.
I believe they came together with the whole thing. This was very popular back in the day. I don't see it anymore. Maybe you do in some circles, but the pitchers throwing the footballs. That was very
Mhm.
big back in the day. And those pitchers weren't getting injured. What was it about them throwing footballs instead of baseballs that kept them healthy?
I don't know. I guess it gotta be the spin on the football that they throw. Well, as you throw your slider or something like that, or your curveball. They always throw the football, and I see them from first base to second. At least they were launching the ball even farther, 120 feet, 100 feet. I mean, these guys they were pretty good.
And Nolan Ryan wasn't a guy with a six pack. I mean, he was strong, right? I mean, he could tie cattle at the ranch, but he
Yeah,
wasn't
I
a guy
mean,
walking around jacked. And you think about Rick Russell, also not winning any beauty contests. You think about Burt Blyleven, but they had like their baby fat on them. But you know what? It worked for them. Those pitchers that were, I'm not gonna say portly, but they had a little bit of extra weight on them, and they had like these rubber arms, and they didn't have to throw 100 on every pitch, but they knew how to throw in the right situations. They talk about a thrower versus a pitcher. And you think of a guy like DeGrom and where he's gone. You remember all the big Mets pitchers, back in the day. Syndergaard,
mhm, yeah.
Syndergaard, long flowing blonde hair, 6'7". Oh, just throw 103 all day long, all day long, all day long. Uh, and where is he now? And this is where I think it comes back to again, it's learning those fundamentals from a younger age. But Kareem, we're in this age now where it seems like guys are at performance centers. They're weightlifting more than ever. They're eating healthy. All these pitchers look like they have six packs and they got jack guns, but yet the better condition they are, the more injured they are. Is there something to it? Do you think that maybe they're over tightening their bodies? If your lats are so tight and so jacked, they're easier to rip. Maybe there'd be better to have a little fat around it or just have a more natural body form. Hmm.
I think more like a natural body form, because like you mentioned, these guys are too jack, and it's easier for them to pull a muscle because you don't have any fat. And talking about guys that were overweight that I saw them that throw hard, and when they lost weight, they lost velocity. CC Sabathia and Bartolo Colon. I played with both of them in Cleveland, and every time they put CC on a regimen to lose weight, he will go from 99 to 89 in a heartbeat. And they're like, you know what? Just continue to eat, do whatever you need to do, and just do your exercises for your shoulder and your elbow and stuff like that. Same thing with Bartolo. Bartolo, you get him to lose some weight, he will lose velocity. Eventually, he lost velocity, but learn how to pitch.
Those two pitchers in their prime with their statistics, any major league team would take them in a second, right?
Yes.
You bring now in spring training in a tryout a 24-year-old that looks like CC Sabathia or Bartolo Colon. I think that the GM is going to laugh them off the field. It's so funny. You just take one look at them and you say to yourself, no. And it's funny that the whole movie Moneyball and the whole idea of how they found, you know, players that people didn't find so desirable. Maybe they were a little shorter, maybe they were a little heavier. And what did they say in Moneyball? I'm not here to sell jeans. I'm here to win baseball games. I don't care if they look good in a pair of jeans. I just want to win.
Mhm.
Maybe some of the teams need to go back and watch Moneyball again and say, you know what? It's not about how tall they are and their velocity. It's about stats. But I feel like now teams more than ever, you have two different players. One's younger, taller, throws harder. One throws smarter, gets people out. They're going to go for velocity every single time.
Unfortunately, but that's true. And I prefer to take a guy that throws 88 to 92 and throws 7 innings than a guy that throws 100, 102 and throws 4 innings. So that's the difference between back in the day and nowadays.
So, point blank questions as we're ending today's episode, Kareem. First and foremost, do you think that MLB will cave on the pitch clock at all? Do you think we'll find any kind of responsibility that way for the pitchers? Or do you think they're going to go a different route to try to figure out how to fix this pitching epidemic with all these injuries?
They're gonna go a different route. I don't think they're gonna change the pitch clock right now. This during the season, they already put it, they authorize it, so they're not gonna change. They're gonna try to figure something out for next year because unfortunately, there's nothing they can do for this year now.
I don't see them even changing it next year because if the network tells them our commercials are much better and the game length is better and we're going to give you more TV money, I think they're not going to care at all. But we were having injuries way before this. Let's be honest. There was T.
Yeah,
It's funny when you look at the numbers, and I can't remember the exact numbers, but we're not that far off from the number of players injured. But there's a big, big difference when Strider goes down versus your long reliever goes down, like a Jesse Chavez, for example. We're seeing a lot of the star pitchers go down. And when the ace is going down in numbers, that's when people grab attention. Buster Posey, when Buster Posey got injured with the collision, oh, we got to change everything. Kareem, were there not catchers getting slid into and breaking legs before this? I think there were, but it's Buster
yeah.
Posey. Now we have to change it. I think once you get the star involved and gets injured, that's when it gets their attention.
Yes, absolutely. And I hate it when they change the not hitting the catcher anymore. I'm telling you right now, I hate it.
Well, you
Because
were,
I would love to hit the catchers all the time. So not anymore.
and I'm sure they loved you back for it. The last question for today,
Yeah.
a funny one. Given that we talked about velocity, given we're talking about teams and what they look for in their pitchers, are we going to see another knuckleballer again? It seemed like we always had one or two knuckleballers always in the league. It feels like that's a dying art now. Unfortunately, Tim Wakefield passed away recently, the most recent, best known. We had R.A. Dickey, obviously, and you had Charlie Huff and Necros. But do you think we'll see another successful knuckleballer in MLB anytime soon?
I don't think so. It's an art that is dying and he's been dying for a long time. I remember Tom Candiotti. He used to throw the knuckleball too. I played with him with the Dodgers, and that's difficult to throw to begin with and difficult to control it. So I don't see too many guys in the minor leagues right now throwing knuckleballs. I think they're throwing 100.
But I'm sure there are guys that are throwing it for fun, like just off to the side and practicing it.
Always,
I used to give
every
Steve,
day,
I gave Steve
every day
Car-
when I would play catch. Yeah.
So I gave Steve Garcia a hard time. I said, if you're a failed rock and roll star, what do? You become a country singer. If you're a failed hard thrower, what do? Become a knuckleballer. He goes, buddy, if only it were so easy. Because apparently to throw a knuckleball consistently 4 strikes and have a job out of it, next to impossible. You're better luck of making the lottery. I didn't think it was that hard, but apparently it's quite the art to get that knuckleball down. Otherwise, everybody would be doing it.
Exactly. And we play around all the time throwing knuckleballs against the pitchers, but I mean, is you can control it and you don't have a good one. I mean, it's only once in a while that you throw a good one.
Did you throw right or did you throw left?
Lefty.
Did you ever get into a game of any kind, even a blowout, to have to pitch and mop up a game?
Man, I really wish that they give me the opportunity. I always told them, I can throw, I can throw. Of course, they never give me the opportunity to pitch.
But you would have taken it in a second.
Oh, absolutely.
So, with the law of gravity and physics and everything else, why has there never been a lefty knuckleballer then? What is it about lefty throwers that they can't throw a knuckleball? Because think about a lefty knuckleballer, that would be unhittable.
Yeah, the thing is, left is they don't have a good control either, because the ball is always moving. My ball always move. I like sink the ball, cut the ball, you know. So lefties, they have to have good control, and to throw an ball for strike is even more difficult.
Kareem, even at your age currently, if you became a lefty knuckleballer and you could throw for strikes, you're probably going to get a contract ahead of Trevor Bauer. Unfortunately, that's the reality of Major League Baseball. Speaking of contracts, and we're going to go a different route. We're going to come back next week. We're going to visit some of our MLB rookies and talking with Karim about it because there's some can't miss prospects that have been missing. I want to know why. So stay tuned. This is the Chosen Baseball Journey.